Good afternoon, guys, and happy Saturday to all of your sunshiny faces. So guys, today we went to the grocery store. I actually woke up late today, guys, honestly, because I have not been sleeping very well. Kind of this past week hasn't been real good. Like, the beginning of the week was actually semi-good, and then towards the end of this week, it kind of was just like... So, because I woke up so early yesterday, but I went to bed so late. I went to bed, yesterday I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning, or a little bit before that. I think it was like 6:50 I woke up. And I went to bed the night before at like 3 o'clock or 3:30 or something like that. I could not fall asleep, but then I woke up so early, before my alarm clock even went off too. So I got like 4-ish hours of sleep or something like that. It was ridiculous. So I was really tired last night. And then last night I didn't go to bed or really fall asleep, I don't think, until like 2 o'clock because I was up. Well, watching the Cubs game. I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay up until the end of the game. It went into one extra inning, luckily, and then ended. By then, it was like almost 1 o'clock-ish or something like that, and then I took a shower. By the time I took a shower, went to bed and everything like that, it was almost 2 o'clock, and I couldn't even fall asleep either, so... That's why, guys, I slept in today until like 10:30 or 11-ish. But honestly, guys, I kind of needed the sleep. So I'm upset that I slept in because I like being up early. I feel like I get more done in the mornings or like throughout the day than I do when I wake up late. Like, I just feel grouchy when I wake up late, and like, I don't know why. Even if like I still get like a good amount of sleep, like not too much and not too little, if I wake up late, you know, later in the afternoon or like mid-morning, I tend to get really grumpy. I don't know why it is, but I just do. Like, if I'm like, darn it, it's 10 o'clock, I feel like upset at myself for sleeping in, and normally I will just not have a good day. And even if I wake up to it like 7 o'clock and I've had like 3 hours of sleep or something like that, I'll wake up with like such a good attitude, even though I have had less sleep than I would if I wake up at like 11 o'clock, which is kind of ridiculous. That's what happened this morning, and then I also made my grocery list to go to the grocery store. And I was able to do that, and then when we came back, we went to the grocery stores almost when I finished my list. We also watched the Bears game. They played today. They played, which is why I'm wearing my Bears jersey, guys. It's a really, really old Devin Hester jersey that I think I got like when Jack was like maybe 2 years old, and that was probably like 8 or so years ago. 8, 9 maybe years ago or something like that. I'm not sure how old he was, but it's like almost pushing 10 years old, this jersey, seriously, guys. And I've like almost never worn it because when I got it for Christmas, it didn't even fit. Like, it was too big, and even now it still fits like it's a little bit long, but it actually fits, like, it feels more proportional, I guess, now than it did when I was little. So yeah, guys, that's why I have like never worn it almost. And I was like, you know what, I don't care if it's an old jersey, it's still a Bears jersey, I'm just gonna wear it. So I wore this today, but we did watch the Bears. They ended up losing, but it was actually like, it was interesting. I mean, an entertaining game somewhat today. When we got done watching that, then we went to the grocery stores, and we had just got back from the grocery stores actually not too long ago. We went a little bit later in the afternoon, and then when we got back, I cleaned out the fridge, put away all the dishes, put away all the groceries, did the dishes as well, and got all the Tupperware and stuff like that, because I always put leftovers in Tupperware and leave it in the fridge for a week, and then once it's a week old, normally I end up just getting rid of everything that's in there and then washing all of the Tupperware. So normally I have like a good amount of dishes to do. Then I also made the 4 freezer dinners for this week. I did a pork chop, and then I also did like a beef like skirt steak kind of dinner for this week as well, which is an interesting story, guys, but I'm not going to completely go into all of that. But anyways, though, I did make 2 freezer dinners for this week as well, or 4 in total, because I got 2 packages of each. 4 because I did two of the exact same dinner like twice, because that's what was on sale for this week. So I have that. I'm not going to do all of the same. I have other stuff that's out in the freezer already, like I've got a pork tenderloin, I've got chicken stuff, I've got soups, I've got not soups, I've got all kinds of different stuff out in the crock pot that I can do. And then, guys, I ended up just finishing up right now. I made some personal sized freezer dinners for myself, which are vegetarian. And I want to share this with you guys. I made 6 of them in total. I'm only going to have 4 this week. I'm going to have mine on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then on Friday we normally go out and get pizza anyway, or we're just out because it's Matthew's football games are on Friday nights, and then on the weekends like Saturday and Sunday we're normally out, and it doesn't really even matter. I can somehow find something to scrounge up for dinner if we are not like out eating, or you know, we got pizza or you know, something. We normally don't really do too much for dinners on the weekend anyway. If not, there's always like pasta or you know, can of soup or something like that. But I just thought this would be kind of a change of pace, because the only soup that I really eat that much is lentil soup. I love, love, love it. But it's the only one that comes in a can at Aldi that I can have, other than tomato soup, which I'm not a huge fan of, just because it's kind of bland to me and I'm not a huge fan. I don't know. I used to love it when I was little, and now I'm not a huge fan of it. I more prefer it if I'm having a grilled cheese as well, which I do have bread and cheese and stuff like that, you know, nice deli cheese, because that's my preference. But I just thought these would be a good idea for like during the week, so that I'm not like having the same thing, and they're also healthier as well. I mean, like somewhat. I use actually in this one organic kale as well, but it's better protein wise too. These are the ones I made. I actually didn't have, I realized once I reread the directions, it called for like 8 ounces of dried beans, or to use 2 cans of canned beans, and I only bought 1 can of canned beans, so I ended up using that. But these are greens and beans, and basically I pretty much just actually ended up cutting the recipe in half and then dividing it by 2, and I just basically mixed everything together at once and then divided it into 2 bags pretty much, so that I can do these individually and use the little crock pot that we have. Like, I think it's like a 2-quart crock pot or something like that. It's like one of the little ones you normally use for like appetizers and stuff like that, or in like dip. With this one, I am to add 2 cups of water and 1 cup of broth. I think I might just add like 2 cups of broth, 1 cup of water, or whatever, however I want to do it. I have low for 3 to 4 hours because it said in the directions low for 6 to 8 hours, I believe. So I cut that time in half, and it might even take less than that too. It might take more, I'm not sure. I kind of have to work out the timing and everything like that. But when I'm doing like the main big one, it says 6 to 8 hours. So since these are obviously smaller, it's not going to take quite as long to cook them. I put 3 to 4 hours, and I'll just have to kind of watch and make sure like they're not overdone or they're not underdone or anything like that. But I also added as well the other directions, like it says that you can top with Parmesan cheese as well, and like I said too about adding the water and the broth. So I'm going to do these 2 next week, and then I'm also going to do 2 of these next week as well, and then I'm going to leave 2 of them frozen like for next week, and maybe I'll do 2 different kinds next week as well, and I'll kind of be able to play around with it and eventually have like 1 different kind every single week. 4 of these, which are tortilla soups, and these ones are actually vegan, and I was kind of like a little bit bummed because I realized after I was actually making it, I was like, these would have probably tasted good with like some black beans in there too. It smells amazing though, guys. Honestly, like I love the way, like I love Mexican food. Like I love the smell of cumin and like chili powder and stuff like that. Like it's my favorite like ever. And so this stuff smelled delicious, but I'm thinking it's probably going to taste pretty good with some black beans too. So in the future, if I make this again, I might add some black beans as well. But I'll probably end up eating it with like some chips and stuff like that, like tortilla chips. But this one on here is add half a cup of broth, because in the recipe it says to the main one to add 2 cups of broth. So I'm going to add half of a cup of broth to each one of these. And then this one also was on low 3 to 4 hours, which would have been 6 to 8 hours on low with the big main one, and or on high for 1.5 hours to 2 hours. So those are the 2 different kinds that I made, and I'm gonna actually put these in the freezer real quick so that they can start freezing. Got them in the freezer, and these will obviously start freezing, but they take up just such a little amount of space that it's just perfect. And those are just pretty much my dinners for this week, which I was thinking about this, like I kind of came up with this idea. I was like, well, you know, when I end up making something for myself, or like something that's vegetarian for the whole family, right? So I was thinking, I was like, well, you know, if I wanted to make just like one, you know, dinner or something like that for myself, and I wanted to do it in the crock pot or whatever, I was like, it's so hard because then I have to try and divide out like, oh, okay, I need, you know, 1/2 of a can of this, and then what do I do with the other can? Like, I'm gonna have to have the exact same thing tomorrow if I leave it in the fridge and make sure it doesn't go bad or something like that. So I was like, it's kind of like inconvenient, you know, because I can't just be like, oh, I want to make something for myself. Like, it's very hard to make just like one dinner or something like that kind of for yourself, I guess. You know, or even too, I guess, because we are a bigger family, so I normally buy stuff in bulk. But, you know, even too, if it's like eggplant parmesan, you know, I can make that for myself, but, you know, I'd have like way too much left over. Or else, you know, sometimes everybody isn't keen on eating something vegetarian. So I was like, so what way is it really going to make the most sense for me to like do this for myself? And like I was saying too, in the case of, you know, it's not that hard, I guess, if you're like, well, I'm just going to use half of the eggplant or something like that and then freeze the other half or whatever. Like, it's not that big of a deal, I guess. But then too, it's also kind of hard when it comes to cans of things, because, you know, if it calls for 1 can or 2 cans of something, you're like, okay, well, if I want to make that for just one person, I have to do 1/4 of a can or 1/2 of a can or something like that. And then you're like wasting all this extra food that you could be using, I guess. Like, even too, when I've made things for myself, like I've used refried beans and stuff like that, for example, or like, you know, or even too, just using like quinoa, like, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's just confusing, and not confusing, but it's kind of inconvenient too, because like, I'll make something with quinoa, for example, like a salad or something, and I'm like, okay, well, it calls for a full cup. Normally, like, an average recipe is like 4 to 6 people. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll use 1/4 of a cup then, since it's just meat. But then I'm like, okay, now I have to, you know, cut the recipe in 1/4 and then figure out how that would actually figure into one person. And so sometimes it's just kind of hard, or I'll be left with all this leftover food or something like that that I'm not going to have, or, you know, extras of something that I didn't end up using. And so I thought about this and I was like, oh my gosh, freezer dinners would be perfect, you know, since I do those anyway, but just divided by 4. And so, you know, or however I want to do it, 6s or, you know, 2 or something like that, and then make that for myself in the smaller crock pot, and, you know, we can have both crock pots going at the same time for dinner. I was like, that honestly makes the most sense. So I'm hoping this will work out and everything like that. You know, my proportions will be right, my timing and stuff like that, and it'll take a little bit of time to kind of figure out exactly how I need to do it. Like, if I'm like, okay, stuff is still frozen when, you know, I'm cutting the time in half, so maybe just take a few hours off or something like that, because honestly, since it's so much smaller, it shouldn't take quite as long to cook as like one of a big dinner that I normally put in a full like gallon size freezer bag. But those ones are actually quart size freezer bags, and they sell specifically freezer bags and not freezer bags at Aldi in the quart size and the gallon size as well. So if you guys are interested in doing like smaller portioned or anything like that, or just personal size portions, so I just hope it's something that's kind of helpful for you guys as well. You know, if that is something you guys are kind of thinking about. And like I said too, I don't have an ideal like portion sizes and anything like that. I don't even know. This might be too much for me. It might not be enough. I have no clue. I kind of have to play around with it for a little while until I figure it out. But this whole week, obviously, I'll be making these for myself. So if you guys stay tuned for this week's vlogs, you guys will pretty much know. Tomorrow I'm not going to end up making it because tomorrow's Sunday. We do have Jack's football game to go to tomorrow, which I will record at and everything. I'm actually going to end the vlog, guys. I'm sorry today's vlog wasn't very long. Just a little bit about my new, you know, personal sized freezer dinners for myself. But I need to get to bed because we do have to be at Jack's football game. Not super early in the morning, but we do have to be there decently at a decent time. Luckily it is at home, so we don't have to like drive really far away or anything or be up really early, but I do have to get up for that. So if you guys did enjoy today's vlog though, make sure you guys give it a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love it if you'd subscribe, and I will talk to all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys. We did go to Matthew's football game. I did record like 1 frame, literally that's all it was, because I don't even know how many times he was in. Like, I think he was only in like maybe 3 times or something like that. But I actually only saw him the 1 time, and he was only on our side the 1 time. So I honestly, guys, like, didn't even get really a chance to record him. But I did get the 1 frame, so I'll insert that for you guys.
Because